Morning students. Today we are going to see the examination of the motor system. So how the motor function is carried out, we are going to test in the subject. So the examination of motor system includes bulk of the muscle, tone of the muscle, power or strength, coordination, reflexes, gait and involuntary movements. Reflexes we discuss in a separate class. All the other things we will discuss today. To start with, we will examine the bulk of the muscle. The bulk of the muscle is whether the subject is having the normal bulk of the extremities. We can examine this by inspection, palpation and also measuring the circumference of the upper limb and the lower limb. First we are going to check the bulk of the muscle. Bulk of the muscle can be checked by inspection, by palpation and by measuring the circumference. By inspection you can see the contour of the shoulder as well as the deltoid on both sides, and then by palpating the muscle mass whether it is soft or whether it is hard, everything we can assess, and then by measuring the tape. For measuring you have to take a reference point. The reference point usually is a bony mark. You can take from the Aconian process or from the elbow. Now I am taking from the elbow 6 inches above the elbow. I am taking the circumference of the right upper limb. It is 30 centimeters on the right side. So the same thing we have to measure from the left side, 6 inches above the elbow, and then go down and measure. So here for him both the sides are normal. Suppose there is wasting. It can be due to a low motor neuron lesion, usually due to poliomyelitis or disuse stress atrophy for a person who is having some disease and he is completely bedridden for a longer time. And third thing can be due to malnutrition. And next one is hypertrophy, increase in the muscle mass. Hypertrophy can be due to physical exercise in an athlete who is doing weightlifting and all, they will have more of the muscle mass. If you don't use the muscle, that will go in for diffuse atrophy. And then one more is pseudo-atrophy, pseudo-hypertrophy. In that condition, only the muscle mass is increased, but the weakness of the muscle is present. Next, we are going to examine the tone of the muscle. What do you mean by tone? Tone is the partial contraction of the postural muscles at rest. So, when a man evolves from an younger age to the adult life, the bony growth is more than that of the muscle growth. So, when the bone grows, the muscle is little bit stretched. So, due to the gamma motor difference, the muscle always in a partial state of contraction. That is called as tone. So, how we examine the tone? So, ask the subject to be relaxed and you do the passive movement. What do you mean by passive movement? Passive movement is nothing but eliminate the effect of gravity and the subject should not move any movements. Only the examiner should make the movements and look for the resistance. So, please observe, I am examining the tone on the right upper limb. So, I am asking the subject to be in a relaxed state. I am supporting the limb to eliminate the effect of gravity and doing alternate movements little bit faster. See, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. There is no resistance at all. This is at the elbow joint. Then at the wrist, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. Then at the fingers also flexion, extension. So everything is without any resistance. Then you do the supination and pronation. Supination and pronation is taken place at the upper radioulnar joint. So the tone in the right upper limb is normal. Then you check the tone like that in the left upper limb also. Now I am examining the tone in the lower limb. The lower limb, I am supporting the thigh with my left hand and I am flexing the limb and extending. Flexion, extension. Flexion, extension. Like that, I support the other limb also. Flexion, extension. Flexion, extension. And here also dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, then medial rotation, lateral rotation. Medial rotation, lateral rotation. Left limb, medial and lateral rotation. See, all the movements are without any resistance. So the tone of the muscle in the given subject is normal. When the tone is increased, it is called as hypertonia. When the tone is decreased, it is called as hypotonia. Hypotonia you normally get in upper motor neuron lesion, especially in pyramidal tract and extrapyramidal lesion. So what will happen? That we will feel resistance when we flex the limb and extend the limb. So in pyramidal tract lesion, you get the tone, called the tone as spasticity. So what happens? When you flex the limb, you will have resistance. So it is sometimes called as clasp knife rigidity. What happens? When you flex, initially you will have resistance and suddenly the subject will flex the hand. So initially there is some resistance and then the resistance is overcome. This is called as clasp knife rigidity. And then next one is rigidity. In rigidity you get in extrapyramidal lesion. In extrapyramidal lesion, you get hypotonia in both the agonist and the antagonist muscles. In spasticity, either in the agonist or in the antagonist. Usually, in the upper limb it will be in the extensor and in the lower limb it will be in the flexors. And in rigidity, it can be of two types. One is lead pipe rigidity, another one is cogwheel rigidity. So, what do you mean by lead pipe? Subject will keep the limb very stiff. You will have severe resistance when you try to flex his arm. But in cogwheel, the resistance will be overcome intermittently. So when you try to flex the limb, it will have movement like this. So this is called as cogwheel. So intermittently the resistance is overcome. So in hypotonia, the tone will be decreased. So when you just make the movements, it will be very relaxed. There won't be any resistance at all. Usually you get hypotonia in cerebellar lesion or in lower motor neuron lesion. So now we are going to examine the power or the strength. And the power is normally graded into 0 to 5. So 0 grade is complete paralysis. And grade 1 is there is just a flicker of movements. So when you ask him to move the limb, just when he will move his finger or something like that. And then grade 2 is you have to eliminate the effect of gravity. Then you can just ask him to move a little. And grade 3 is he can lift the limb but not against resistance. And grade 4 is normal activity is done but there will be mild weakness. And grade 5 is normal power or the strength of the muscle. So we have to examine the power in all the limb muscles, upper and the lower limb as well as the trunk muscles. First we will see how to examine the upper limb muscles. So what are the movements in the upper limb? So at the shoulder joint you can see flexion, extension, abduction, adduction and circumduction. And then at the elbow, flexion and extension. Then at the superior radioulnar joint, supination and pronation. And at the wrist, flexion, extension, abduction and adduction. And then you can see the flexion extension at the metacarpophalangeal joint and flexion extension at the interphalangeal joint. We will start from the thumb now. So நான் உங்களுக்கு பவர் டெஸ்ட் பண்ண போறேன். என் விரல்ல நான் எங்க வைக்கிறேனோ அங்க வந்து நீங்க அமுக்கணும் அந்த விரல்ல. So with the thumb, this is the flexion, this is extension, this is adduction, this is abduction. So the muscles responsible for each movement you have to by heart thoroughly. So now I am asking him to flex the thumb. So this normal grade and then adduction is also normal. Then abduction normal. Then I am going to see the power at the metacarpophalangeal joint. So here what are the flexors of the fingers? Flexors of the finger are the lumbricals. So this is the flexion movement. So you flex like this and extend. flex, extend. So ask him to flex the fingers. Kai madinge? Varla talluna? Yes. So the flexion and extension at the metacarpophalangeal joint is normal. Then the opponent's pollicis by the thumb. Here he has to touch the tip of the finger and then I will just prevent the movement. இப்படி ஒரு விரலோட நுனியா தொடுங்க. அப்படி ஒண்ணொண்ணா திருப்பி செய்யுங்க. ஸோ இப்போ நான் உங்களை செய்ய விடாமல் தடுப்பேன். செய்யுங்க அதை தொடுங்க அதே மாதிரி. இப்படி கை மடிச்சுக்கோங்க. So this is I am testing the opponent's pollicis and then the flexion at the before that we will see the abduction and adduction of the fingers. What are the abductors and adductors? You must be knowing the pad and the dab. So the palmar intraossei or the adductors and the dorsal intraossei or the abductors. So now this is the midline. So from the midline the middle finger will move on both sides, abduction and center with the adduction. So for the ring finger and the little finger, this is abduction and again this is adduction. Like that for the index finger, abduction, adduction. So I am going to check the abduction and adduction for the subject. So in the varla velila tallunga, appadi illa ipdi vechitu ipdi thallu. Yes. Ipo ulla tallunga ipdi adutha adhe finger ulla tallunga. Yes. Ida tallunga. Yes. Inga tallunga. Yes. So abduction and the adduction movements of the fingers are normal power. Then we will go to the wrist joint. Wrist joint we are going to check the flexion and extension. So what you must do is you must check the flexion movement with the fingers in the extended position and ask the subject to flex the wrist. Kai madinge? So it is normal. Then extension, he has to make a fist. So this is the extension. So his extension power during the extensors of the wrist are with normal power. Like that you have to do in the left hand also. And to check all the muscles of the hand, whether they are with normal power, we can ask him to hold the hand. ரெண்டு விரலையும் பிடிங்க டைட்டா பிடிங்க விடக்கூடாது and ask him to you try to take off your fingers. So he is not allowing me to take, so that means he is having normal power. So this you can do to check all the muscles together. Then we will move on to the elbow. Before that we will do the brachioradialis function. So what is the brachioradialis function? So it flexes the forearm from the mid prone position. So make the subject to keep the forearm in the mid prone position and ask him to flex it. Kai madinge இப்படி வச்சிட்டு madinge இப்படி madinge. So you feel for the brachioradialis muscle here. So madinge yes. So his brachioradialis is with normal power. Then we will move on to the flexor of the forearm, that is the biceps, and extensor is the triceps. So you just hold the forearm and always keep the other hand on the muscle responsible for the movement to check the power and the strength in the muscle mass. So ask him to flex again and you give resistance. See, this biceps is becoming prominent. Then keep it in the flex position and ask the subject to extend. You move your left hand to the triceps. Yes. So it is normal. I will examine in the other leg. So flex. Yes. 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 So his flexor and extensor muscles of the elbow are with normal power. Next I am going to check the abductors of the shoulder joint. So abductors of the shoulder joint, the initial 30-degree movement is by the supraspinatus and then by the deltoid and then by the trapezius. So initially 30 degrees is by the supraspinatus and then 90 degrees the deltoid and above that is the trapezius. So I am going to check now. So ask the subject to be in a relaxed state and you ask him to abduct the limb and you give resistance. Yes, 30 degrees. So I am feeling the supraspinatus muscle here. Then so I am feeling the deltoid up to 90 degree. Then after that you will then I am feeling the trapezius muscle here. Like that you check on the other side. The initial 30 degree is by the supraspinatus. Then 90 degree deltoid. Then above that is the trapezius muscle. So yes. So the power of the abductors of the shoulder is within normal limits. And then the lateral rotation. So ask him to tuck his elbow and then push the hand outside like this. So he will tuck and then move the hand. I am giving resistance. So this is the function, the lateral rotation. So it is also with the normal power. So now I am going to examine the pectoral muscle. So what is the function? It is flexion. Ask him to extend the limbs and then ask him to clasp and you prevent the movement. See, he is trying to clasp his hand. So I am just resisting. His power is normal. Then next is ask him to push against the wall. This is the function of serratus anterior and you look for the winging of the scapula. Suppose if the serratus is at fault, you can see the winging of the scapula. And then the latissimus dorsi muscle, this is nothing but the climbing muscle. You ask him to keep both the hands just tied together in the back and ask him to push your hand down. So this is the latissimus dorsi muscle with the normal power. So we have finished checking all the muscles of the upper limb which are taking part in the motor activity. So next we are going to check the power in the lower limb. So first we will check the power in the ankle muscle. So the ankle, the movements are plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. This is plantar flexion and this is dorsiflexion. So now I am asking him to do the movements. I am checking the power. So this is dorsiflexion and this is plantar flexion. What are the dorsiflexors? What are the plantar flexors? You must know. Then like that you check in the other limb also. Dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. So next the eversion and inversion. So this is eversion and this is inversion. So he is everting now, inverting and then everting. But you can't see the test the power, so this thing. So we will leave that. Next we will move on to the leg. So what are the flexors of the plantar flexor? You must tell me. They are nothing but the gastrocnemius muscle and the extensor of the tibialis anterior muscle. And the tibialis posterior is the inverter and the peroneal group is the elevator. Then we will move on to the knee joint. Knee joint, there are only two movements, flexion and extension. So how we have to test is, ask the subject to be relaxed, then you hold the thigh, flex it and now you ask him to do the complete flexion. So you prevent it and I am checking the power in the flexor muscles. Now from the flex position, you ask him to extend. So now, this is the quadriceps. So they are the extensors of the knee joint. Like that, you check in the other limb also. Hold the thigh, keep the hand over the flexors, ask him to flex and you resist. From the flexion, you ask him to extend and you give resistance. So this is the test for the lower leg. Both the flexors and the extensor are with the normal power. Next, flexion and extension at the hip joint. So you ask the subject for the testing the flexion and extension of the hip joint. The limb should be in an extended position. He is not supposed to flex it. And you give resistance at the near the ankle. So kaala midva thukunga. Yes, see. So now the flexor of the hip is the psoas. So you cannot feel the psoas. Yes. Inda kaala thukunga. Yes, it is normal power. So for taking the extension, what is the extensor? Gluteus maximus. So ask him to keep the limb. So in the flux position, ask him to push the hand down. You feel for the muscle. Yes. So the power is normal. So next is the medial rotation and lateral rotation. So this is medial rotation at the hip joint, lateral rotation at the hip joint. Like that, the other limb, medial rotation, lateral rotation. So you ask the subject to move, do the medial rotation, you give resistance. Yes. So what are the medial rotator? What are the lateral rotator? You must know thoroughly. Then the other movement is abduction and adduction. So ask the subject to abduct the limb. See, this is abduction and then adduction. So these are the movements at the hip joint. So we have finished all the movements of the lower limb. So now I am checking the tone of the abdominal muscles, that is the flexors and extensors of the vertebral column or flexors and extensors of the trunk. So now I am checking the flexor of the trunk. Ask the subject to lie down flat and raise the head against resistance and look for the contraction of the abdominal muscles and look for the position of the umbilicus also. Normally the umbilicus will be in the mid position. Suppose if the muscle one side is paralyzed, it will be pushed to the normal side due to contraction of the muscles on the normal side, that is called as Beaver's sign. And now I am going to check the extensor of the vertebral column. So now I am asking to lift the head. So the sacrospinalis is the muscle. So I am checking it is with the normal strength. Next we are going to check the coordination in the upper limb. So coordination is the function of the cerebellum. What are the tests for coordination? First is finger nose test. Ask the subject to extend the hand and then touch the nose, tip of the nose with the index finger rapidly. கையை நீட்டிக்கோங்க. இந்த கை இந்த விரலால மூக்க வேகமா தொட்டு தொட்டு கை நீட்டுங்க. எஸ். கண்ணை மூடிட்டு கொஞ்சம் 2 நிமிஷம் செய்யுங்க. அந்த கையில செய்யுங்க இப்போ. கண்ணை திறந்துக்கோங்க. செய்யுங்க. So this is called as finger nose test. So he is touching the tip correctly. So his coordination is normal. Next test is finger nose test. So the subject will touch my finger, then he will touch his nose with the finger. So I will keep the finger in different positions. So asking him to touch the finger. Slow. On the way. Yes. So this is finger nose test. Next is alternate movements very rapidly. That is supination and pronation at the wrist joint. You can ask the subject to just do the tapping very fast. So if there is incoordination, that is called as dysdynamic. So he cannot do that. He will stumble when doing this alternate movements. Or you can ask the subject to make a fist and do like this. So that is also for checking the coordination in the upper limb, and you can ask the subject to draw a circle. Yes. So if there is incoordination, he cannot do that. He will go on fumble like this. He will come to the end. He won't just complete the circle. Yes. So in the lower limb, coordination is checked by the heel knee test. That is asking the subject to lift the leg and keep the heel over the opposite knee and ask him to drag it along the shin of the tibia up to the ankle. காலை தூக்கி வச்சு செய்யுங்க, அங்கே வச்சு அப்படியே இன்னொரு தடவை செய்யுங்க. So he is keeping it on the knee and dragging it along the shin of the tibia. So we have to check with the other leg. Yes. Yes. So his coordination in the lower limb is normal. Next we are going to examine gait. What is gait? The manner of walking is called as gait. So how a normal person walks? What are the movements? So you flex the knee, flex the hip, and also there is flexion at the ankle joint, and when you just step toe there will be plantar flexion. So you observe a person how he walks first. Another coming in. He is walking normally. Then ask him to do tandem walking. That is one step after the other. Just observe how he is walking. So he is able to do the tandem walking. Thiruppi vaanga normally. Next we will check the Romberg sign. So what is Romberg sign? Ask the subject to stand straight, then ask him to close the eyes and stand straight. And if there is any lesion of the posterior column, then the person will sway. So when he opens eyes, he is able to stand straight. When he closes his eyes, he will try to fall off. So always the examiner should be next to the subject and protect him from falling down. Kanna mudikku nera nillunga, kanna mudikku nillunga. So you keep your hands like this and protect the subject. He is not swaying, he is standing straight. So his posterior column is perfect. So now I have checked the normal gait of the subject. So in upper motor neuron lesion, that is in pyramidal region, the patient of a hemiplegic patient will walk with a circumduction gait. Here what happens? There is hypertonia in the upper and the lower limb which is paralyzed, and the person tries to balance the whole, tilt the pelvis, and without flexing the hip or the knee, he will try to walk. So this is called as circumduction gait. I will just demonstrate now. So he will tilt his pelvis and he will walk like this, and the arm will also sway with the walking. So he will try to balance the flexion and extension by doing a circumduction movement. So he will walk like this. So next, it is the Festinen gait. In basal ganglion lesion, that is in Parkinsonism, the patient will have akinesia and there will be initiation of the movement will be difficult. So the patient, he will just stand like this and he will bend, he will have a flexion attitude and he will have a short shuffling gait like this. He will bend and walk like this as though he is going to catch the center of gravity. And he is very difficult to make him stop. This is called as Festinen gait or the short shuffling gait. Next is the high stepping gait. Here what happens? In posterior column lesion and in foot drop, in posterior column lesion, he doesn't know where the floor is. So there is sensory loss. So what he will do is, he will just take and then walk like this. He will stamp also. This is high stepping gait. And then in foot drop also, he is not able to sense. So he will walk like this. So the high stepping gait is in foot drop as well as in posterior column lesion. Next is waddling gait. You get waddling gait in cerebellar lesion. He is not able to balance his body. So he will have a broad base. It's a drunkard gait. So he will walk like this. So he will try to balance the whole weight by keeping a broad base. So that is waddling gait or a drunkard gait. Next we are going to check the involuntary movements. So normally what are the involuntary movements you check are tremors and also your chorea, acidosis, hemibalismus. All these things are included in the involuntary movement. So what is tremor? It is a shaking movement of the extremities. So normally you get tremor in a patient with anxiety and you can get in old age also. Tremor is classified into fine tremor and coarse tremor. So how to check for tremor? Ask the subject to extend the limb. Are you meeting? Are you listening? So ask him to show like this and you observe whether there are any shaky movements of the extremities. So fine tremors, it's better to place a paper over the hand and check for the shakiness. You can observe if the paper shakes, that is the fine tremor. So he is not having any tremor. So in an anxious patient, you will have the extremities shaking like this. And then next is, we are going to check for the resting tremor. So what is resting tremor? In Parkinsonism, the patient will have tremors at rest. When he is asked to do some work or some activity, then the tremor will disappear. So it is called as pill rolling tremor. So he will go on doing like this. This is called as pill rolling movement, as though he is having a pill in his hand and keep on rolling it. That is called as pill rolling movement. And in cerebellar lesion, they will have intention tremor. So what is intention tremor? So at rest there is no tremor. When he is asked to do any activity, he will develop tremor. In the chalk piece yes. And the duster yes. Kilojoule. So he is taking it normally. So a patient with cerebellar lesion, when I ask him to pick it up, he will do like this. He will shake his hand and then he will reach the object. Once he reaches the object, the tremor will stop and he will pick it up like that. So when I ask him to take any object, that is any activity only, he will have tremor like this, and once he reaches the object, the tremor will stop. This is called as intention tremor. And chorea, acidosis, hemibalismus are the extrapyramidal lesion, and they are also involuntary movements. Some are hyperkinetic, some are hypokinetic. They are involuntary, rhythmic or dancing movements you develop, and all these involuntary movements have been demonstrated with video already to you in the basal ganglia class. You please brush up and get all the information from the PowerPoint slides.